You're watching Euronews now. I'm Tukumbo Salako with your top stories. Fighting is intensifying across Ukraine's southern port cities as Russia steps up its bomb attacks. We'll have the latest from Odessa. A donors' conference for aid to Syria is underway in Brussels. We'll hear from the UN's Charity for Children about how the cost of living crisis is affecting the conflict. And it's the semi-finals for Europe's greatest song contest. Ukraine's entry will take center stage in Turin tonight.
This is the site of a Russian missile strike here in Odessa. This shopping mall was hit late night on Monday. Throughout the weekend, Odessa was hit multiple times. 7 missiles hit the city on Saturday, several others on Sunday, and on Monday this area was struck as well as other parts of the city. One of those missiles struck during the visit of the European Council President Charles Michel. One of his meetings had to be moved to the basement for safety. That meeting was actually with the Ukrainian Prime Minister. And as you can see, the extent of the damage is quite impressive. The entire structure was on fire shortly after that explosion. Emergency responders had to work for several hours to put out that fire. And police and other authorities are still here trying to gather material and evidence about what happened. Authorities in Odessa were on high alert in view of Russia's celebrations of Victory Day on Monday. There was a curfew in place here in this city to try and limit civilian casualties. As you can see, infrastructure remains heavily targeted in the city, and authorities say that they are bracing for potentially even more attacks here in the south of Ukraine. Annalise Borges in Odessa for Euronews.
Russian forces are said to be carrying out storming operations on Mariupol's Azovstal plant, backed up by tanks and artillery. With hundreds of civilians now having been evacuated, Ukraine officials say they've been expecting an intense Russian onslaught of the plant, where the southern city's last defenders are holed up. As Russia held its Victory Day parades, heavy fighting continued in eastern Ukraine. There were around 200 missile and artillery strikes, mostly on the Donbass region, where the Kremlin is focusing its military might. Kramatorsk is one of the cities in Donetsk Oblast which has taken a battering as it stands in the path of the Russian offensive. Meanwhile, President Vladimir Putin has promised his plans will be implemented and achieved during a meeting to reassure the father of a dead separatist leader.
There was no other choice. The Russian guys are fighting bravely, heroically, professionally. All the plans are being implemented. The result will be achieved. There is no doubt about this.
The results of Russia's constant bombardment in the east is clear as the wounded are rushed to hospital. Russia also has about 97 battalion tactical groups in Ukraine, largely in the east and south. However, observers say Russia has made slow progress over the past few days. But getting a full picture of the unfolding battle is becoming difficult because of the unrelenting airstrikes and artillery barrages.
The consequences of Russia's war in Ukraine are too frightening to contemplate. Those are the words of UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres, who is visiting Moldova, a country he describes as Ukraine's most fragile neighbour. It comes as a series of explosions rocked the country's pro-Russia breakaway region of Transnistria.
Moldova is in the front line of preservation, peace and stability in the world. With the war so close and with the divisions that are known. My hope is that there will be a clear sense of responsibility of all the actors.
Astăzi, Republica Moldova face față unor suprapuneri fără
Today,
precedent
the
de
Republic of
crize.
Moldova is facing
Efectele
unprecedented
crizei
crisis
pandemice,
overlaps. But
crizei
regardless of the
energetice,
challenges, I assure you, the Republic of
inflației
Moldova is on
și
the path
creșterii
of
prețurilor,
development, democracy, and
reorientarea
European
lanțurilor
integration.
comerciale. Însă, indiferent de provocări, vă asigur, Republica Moldova merge înainte pe calea dezvoltării, democrației și a integrării europene.
Transnistria, a small strip of land which has been under the control of separatist authorities since the 1992 war with Moldova. Russia bases about 1,500 troops in the breakaway region, ostensibly as peacekeepers. Recent attacks in the breakaway region have many in Moldova fearing Russian intervention. The UN has vowed financial support for one of Europe's poorest countries. French President Emmanuel Macron has made his first trip abroad since his inauguration, hosting talks in Berlin with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz in what has become a tradition for the two countries. The leaders describing Russia's war in Ukraine as a turning point in history that requires European countries to work together.
No one could have imagined that today, 1 year later, peace in Europe has been broken by Russia's horrific war of aggression against Ukraine, that a neighboring European country is being brutally attacked, that millions of people are fleeing, that countless people in Ukraine are experiencing death, suffering and destruction.
We must now do everything we can to protect democracy, to stand alongside Ukraine, and at the same time protect our peoples from an expansion of the war. We will continue to coordinate closely on the issues and act together, as we did at the beginning, by supporting Ukraine, by taking significant decisions in recent weeks, and by continuing to adopt sanctions.
Both leaders also stressing the importance of reducing reliance on fossil fuels from Russia and limiting the impact of food and energy supply problems exacerbated by the conflict.
German Chancellor Olaf Scholz and French President Emmanuel Macron met here in Berlin on Monday evening, and it marked Macron's first visit here since his inauguration and re-election as French President. And this has been a long-standing tradition between Paris and Berlin after their elections. But while both leaders said that their meeting sends a signal of the current strength of Franco-German relations, the meeting really was much more than just symbolism. Had the French election turned out differently, of course, there would have been a very different atmosphere here on Monday evening, and Olaf Scholz went as far as thanking France for, in his words, choosing Europe. And that was really the main focus, European unity, particularly in the face of the war in Ukraine. And when asked for their thoughts on Russian President Vladimir Putin's speech on Monday, both Macron and Scholz avoided mentioning him by name and focused instead on what they see as the ultimate aim right now, a ceasefire in Ukraine. But as Scholz underlined, not a dictated peace. So of course Ukraine was top of the agenda, as well as security, not only militarily speaking, but also in terms of energy, food and also climate change on Monday evening. And Scholz's attempts at European coordination continue now today with yet another visit, this time from Belgian Prime Minister Alexander De Croo. Kate Brady, Euronews, Berlin.
Give him our way.
It's time for us to take a brief break in the programme, but we'll be back in a few moments.